Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the February 20th Planning and Zoning meeting with the City of Milford. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. For people who are here for 104 Edgewater Place public hearing, that has been postponed at the applicant's request. So that will be heard at the next meeting. So I just don't want you to wait around if that's the only thing you're here for.
Mr. Chair. The applicant actually changed his request later in the afternoon for it to be opened and then tabled.
But they're not here.
That was in the letter that he sent to you and the office this afternoon. That way, it will just to open it and the board to then table it, which would give the public the opportunity to send in comments that could be considered under the public hearing for the next meeting, which would be held on the 5th.
Okay, is that explanation clear to everybody? What we will do is, the applicant's not here to present, but we will open the public hearing. We'll have a motion to table it. Is that accurate, David?
That is correct.
Okay, so it'll be tabled, but that will allow the public to write letters to David, and we would get that information through him to the board. So it's open so that you can make comments in writing. And then it will be a full-on public hearing at our next meeting, where you'll get a chance to come up and speak and hear the application. So I do apologize for this. This was last minute, and again, it was not the city request, it was the applicant.
The 5th.
I can't hear.
March 5th, yes.
Thank you. So then the first order of business is one of... I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, we'll do the, call the roll, please, Meg.
Mr. Agnesi.
Present.
Mr. Elling.
Present.
Mr. Anderson.
Present.
Mr. Hirsch.
Here.
Mr. Collegian.
Present.
Mr. Macchio.
Here.
Mr. Mortimer.
Present.
Mr. Sadi.
Present.
Mr. Zacharidis.
Present.
And Chairman Fish.
I'm here as well. As we just heard, we will open 104 Edgewater Place, zone R12.5, petition of Kevin Crusading Esquire for a coastal site plan review to construct a single-family dwelling on map 45, block 513, parcel 39, of which Brenton C. Arts is the owner. As we just heard, I'd like to hear a motion to table this till the next meeting.
Mr. Quish, I make a motion to table this. Is my understanding this is based on the request of the applicant, and I ask it be granted. Thank you. Second.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Who said second?
Brian.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, Meg, if you would, please call the roll.
Mr. Agnesi.
With the motion.
Mr. Elling.
With the motion.
Mr. Anderson.
With the motion.
Mr. Hirsch.
With the motion.
Mr. Collegian.
With the motion.
Mr. Macchio.
With the motion.
Mr. Mortimer.
With the motion.
Mr. Sadi.
With the motion.
Mr. Zacharidis.
With the motion.
And Chairman Fish.
I'm also with the motion. Thank you, everyone. Next order of business is 14 Loomis Street, Zone R10, petition of Thomas Lynch Esquire for special permit with site plan review for a funeral home parking lot on map 19, block 203, parcel 11, of which 14 Loomis LLC is the owner.
Mr. Chair. Just also on the agenda, there were two other items that were postponed. They are listed as postponed, but in case someone in the audience didn't see the agenda, they should know that 62 West Main Street and 277 West Avenue have both been postponed to the March 5th meeting.
So noted. applicant has the floor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for the record, my name is Thomas Lynch. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lynch, Trimbicki, and Boynton, and my office is located here in Milford at 63 Cherry Street. And I have the pleasure of being here tonight with my client, William Britt. Bill is the owner of the property at 14 Loomis Street. He operates it under an LLC known as 14 Loomis Street LLC. And he is also the owner of the property across the street at number 5 Loomis Street, where the Doyle Funeral Home is located and has been operated for some 75 years by Bill's in-laws, and now his daughter Mariah, who couldn't be here tonight, is a third-generation director of the Doyle Funeral Home. So the family has a long history here in Milford. They've been a mainstay in the Devon West Shore area, providing care and comfort to families going through a grievous time. And we're before you with this application to allow a development of 14 Loomis Street, maintaining the single-family residence that's located there now, demolishing a detached garage, actually, which has been detached since last fall, and the construction of a new two-car garage to accommodate the funeral home's hearses, and a parking lot consisting of some 22 spaces on the southerly side of the property. Ray Pear is with me tonight as well from Westcott and Mapes. Ray put together the site plan, and it's a pretty straightforward proposal. This is the second stage of the administrative approval process for this project. I appeared with Bill before the Zoning Board of Appeals last June, and we received a variance of Section 519 of the zoning regulations to allow a parking lot in a residential zone. It's interesting, number 5 Loomis Street is located in the Commercial Corridor District, the CDD2 zone, but 14 Loomis across the street from it is located in the R10 zone. So under our zoning regulations, a variance would be required to allow 14 Loomis to be used as a commercial parking lot in conjunction with the funeral home. So again, knowing the funeral home as we all do, it's been in Milford for many years, parking is a big issue. If you've ever been to a wake or services at Doyle Funeral Home, you know that their existing property lot is very small. I think there's some 20 spaces that are on that property. So as a result, cars have to park up and down Loomis Street. Loomis Street is a very narrow street off of Bridgeport Avenue, so it does create a real problem for the neighbors over the years. So Bill purchased this property 2 years ago with the intent of putting together the proposal that we're finalizing through this application to you tonight to utilize as I said, the southerly or the easterly portion of the property as a parking lot. David started to show the plans on the screen. The existing conditions are shown on the first sheet, and as you can see, there's the single-family house. It's a house that was built probably around 1900 or the early 1900s. It's a very small house consisting of 1,000 square feet. So the intent is to renovate that house and to build a new garage in the rear portion of the property. If you go to the third sheet, the second sheet is actually the demolition plan. So the third sheet is our site plan. So you can see how Ray has designed the parking lot, fitted on the property quite nicely with the residents to remain, and then as you can see on the screen in the upper right quadrant is the proposed new two-car garage. So these plans were reviewed by all city departments. We did receive a report from the fire marshal conditionally approving the plans, and when I say conditionally, these plans before you tonight are the revised plans that were revised in accordance with his comments. He wanted to have the 2 parking spaces that were shown in front of the garage eliminated and have striping there show that that's part of a fire lane. He didn't want, there were 2 parking spots in front of the garage and he wanted to have those eliminated. And then, as David brings the cursor back to the residence, there was a recommendation to have a fire lane established along the house in case there was some fire emergency at the residence itself. It would create a fire lane so the apparatus would not have to deal with any cars if they were parked on the side of the house. The plans were also reviewed by Sergeant Kraniak of the Police Department. You have the report that he issued to you on January 18th. I'm going to read basically the final paragraph. The parking lot will accommodate the funeral home across the street, adding to the existing 23 spaces and 2-car garage at this location. Utilizing this parking lot will free up space on Loomis Street, which will be beneficial for through traffic passing the funeral home. There are no sightline issues with this plan as the driveway egress is existing. Based on all the information provided, the Traffic Division has no objection to the plans as presented. And then lastly, the plans were reviewed by Greg Podlisky, the city engineer. Greg had put together a report that he forwarded to both Ray and I. He had some concerns only as it related to the stormwater drainage and the retention system that he had proposed. He wanted something a little bit more elaborate, so again, the plans were revised to provide for on-site retention of water coming from a 25-year storm. All of the other zoning requirements for buffer, landscaping, and lighting have been met in this plan, and David has reviewed them. He will give you his memo as it relates to the compliance with the zoning regulations. But I think this is a very well drawn out plan, well devised, and it's going to be a big asset for the folks who live over on Loomis Street, as it will alleviate the existing parking problem that is there quite often. If there's any questions that the board may have, I'd be happy to entertain them, or if there's any specifics relative to the site plan that you want to ask Ray, raise with me as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Yes, Mr. Sadi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Attorney Lynch. Approximately how many additional parking spots are being provided to the community as a result of this activity?
22.
22.
We had a few more in front of the garage, but those were eliminated. So there's 22, one of which is handicap.
Okay, and the variance that was provided, could you just briefly explain that again? We don't normally deal with the variances.
Yeah, the property at 14 Loomis is located in a residential zone. You can't have a commercial parking lot in a residential zone. The regulations say that you can have off-site parking for a commercial venture, but it has to be within 250 feet of the other site, which would be the funeral home, which we do meet that. However, the regulation goes on to say that the zone in which you want to put that parking lot in has to be a zone that allows for parking lots, and a residential zone doesn't. So we appeared for a use variance before the ZBA back in June. They were cognizant of the issue, thought that it would be a beneficial thing for the neighborhood, and they granted the variance.
Thank you very much, Attorney Lynch. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Excuse me, how many electric charging stations have you put into the plan?
Well, it's funny that you asked that, because David, in his review, we discussed it, and this lot with the 22 spaces is below your new regulation requirements, so there are no charging stations. And from a practical point of view, having gone to a good number of wakes in my life, most people go into a wake, pay their respects to the family, and then come out. I mean, it's usually a 15 to 20 minute thing, so I don't think that there'd be too many people in that parking lot that would be charging their cars, unlike the Connecticut Post Mall, where people go over and spend 2 or 3 hours there, and they shop, have something to eat, watch a movie, and then at the meantime, charge their car.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, good evening, Attorney Lynch.
Yeah, John.
The house, there's no plans to reno the house or have it part of the business at all?
No, it's going to be renovated and rented out.
It will be renovated? Okay, but it's not part of this plan?
It is part of the plan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's part of the plan, but it's part of the plan in the sense that the house is remaining.
Thank you.
Yep. And I sort of stressed that before the Zoning Board of Appeals because it is a residential zone. So we weren't just demolishing a house and just putting in a parking lot. We were keeping the house. The parking lot is sort of an adjunct use of the property.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak to the issue, please come up to the podium. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. And without other further questions, I'd hear a motion. Oh, David, I'm sorry. David, would you like to brief us on your perspective?
Sure. Before I start, though, I have a question for Mr. Lynch. There were 3 items on the fire department report. You mentioned 2 of them. And then the third one was they wanted to make sure...
Weight.
The weight. Okay, the
Yeah,
parking lot.
and Ray said that that's not an issue. He'll take care of that when the permits are pulled.
Okay.
Yep.
The applicant is proposing to construct a parking lot on a residentially zoned lot R10 to serve a funeral home located across the street in the CDD2 zone. A variance was granted to allow the commercial parking in a residential district. The application is considered a special permit under 3.1.2.22. The existing single-family dwelling will remain on the lot. A new 2-car garage is also proposed. The application has been found to be substantially compliant with the zoning regulations.
Thank you. Again, any further questions? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. I'd hear a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Quish. Regarding 14 Loomis Place, Zone R10, I move to approve as presented the petition of Thomas Lynch Esquire for the special permit with site plan review for a funeral home parking lot on map 019, block 203, parcel 11, of which 14 Loomis LLC is the owner.
I'll second.
We have a second from John. Any discussion of the motion? If not, Meg, if you would please call the roll.
Mr. Agnesi,
With the motion.
Mr. Alling,
With the motion.
Mr. Anderson,
With the motion.
Mr. Hirsch,
With the motion.
Mr. Collegian,
With the motion.
Mr. Macchio,
With the motion.
Mr. Mortimer,
With the motion.
Mr. Sadi,
With the motion.
Mr. Zaharidis,
With the motion.
and Chairman Quish.
I'm also with the motion. Good luck, and I do fully see it will be a great benefit to the people who live there and the people who are going to services. Much easier to just walk across the street, so good luck. So old business, I don't see any. We have liaison reports. Robert?
None from the Regional Council of Governments for tonight.
Thank you. Subcommittee reports. David, we have a regulation subcommittee meeting next Wednesday, is that correct?
Yep, and we're going to have an affordable housing expert is going to be joining us to help the subcommittee, come up with some, information for the subcommittee and ultimately, hopefully, help the subcommittee come up with regulations or policies or procedures to help our housing problem.
Great, thank you. And if anyone who's interested in becoming a member, just make sure that you reach out to David so that he keeps count. We cannot have more than a quorum, because then it would be an official meeting. But they are open to watch, so that anyone can watch. So if you're a member, you're watching, you just would be administratively on mute.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to participate, but you could watch.
And listen, yeah. So we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Second?
I second.
Okay, without objection, the motion is approved. Chair's report, I have none. Staff report?
Just a reminder that Meg sent out today some information about some educational opportunities coming up in the future from UConn. And as a reminder, there's also you have educational requirements for those of you who are new to the board. So this would be a good opportunity to gain some of those credits, if not all of them. So you will have all of your educational credits. Thank you.
Now, we did have like a full-day session from, I think it was the Bar Association a couple of years ago. Is that sufficient, or do you need further?
It depends when you join the board.
Okay,
So they phased it in. So right now, any new members of the board have to get their certification. I believe it's within a year. You have to
Okay.
get it within a year. And then I think if you already have it, I think it skips a year. So eventually, everyone will be on the same cycle, but it depended on what your status was as of January 1st of 2004, whether you were on the board before that date or after that date.
2004.
I'm sorry, 2024.
2024, okay, thank you. Anything, any of the members would like to bring up? If not, I'd hear a motion to adjourn. Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
okay, no, so done.